What if a small act of kindness, something you did every day without thinking, was actually a test? A test that could change your entire life. This is the story of Marcus, a man who the whole town feared, a man who nobody dared to look at twice. He was the leader of the Raven Riders motorcycle gang, black leather, loud engines, tattoos that told stories of a hard life. Everyone in the small town of Miller's Creek knew his name, and everyone avoided him. But what if I told you that this dangerous man was about to become an angel? It was a Tuesday morning, an ordinary day. Marcus rode his bike through the empty streets, heading to the coffee shop near the highway, the same coffee shop he visited every morning for the last 10 years. But this morning something was different. He saw here a young woman, maybe 30 years old, brown hair tied back, wearing a blue sweater. She was standing in line at the coffee shop alone. Marcus noticed something immediately, something that made his cold heart stop for a moment. Bruises. Dark purple bruises on her neck. Marcus had seen bruises before. He had made bruises before. He was not a good man, but even a man like him knew what those bruises meant. Someone had hurt her, someone had put their hands around her throat and squeezed. He watched her order a coffee. Her voice was quiet, almost like she was afraid. She kept her eyes down. She kept her hands close to her body as if she was trying to be invisible. Marcus did not know why he cared. This was not his business. He had a reputation, he had a gang, he had enemies. He did not need more problems, but he could not stop looking at her. The woman paid for her coffee and turned to leave. As she did, she bumped into a man at the door. The man was tall, angry. His eyes were cold and dark. Marcus recognized the look of a predator. The man grabbed the woman's arm hard. She winced in pain but said nothing. The man pulled her close and whispered something in her ear. The woman nodded. Scared, she let him pull her toward the door, and then Marcus did something he had never done before. He stood up. He walked across the coffee shop. His boots were loud on the floor. Everyone stopped and stared. The man at the door saw Marcus coming. His eyes went wide. He knew who Marcus was. Everyone knew. The man let go of the woman's arm immediately. "Is there a problem?" Marcus asked. His voice was deep and dangerous, the kind of voice that makes people want to run. The man shook his head quickly. He mumbled an excuse and walked out of the coffee shop fast. He did not look back. Marcus turned to the woman. She was shaking, looking at him with fear in her eyes. Another predator. She probably thought another threat. "Are you okay?" Marcus asked. The woman did not answer. She just stared at him. "That guy, is he your boyfriend?" Marcus asked. She nodded slowly, afraid to speak. "He hurt you?" Marcus pointed to her neck. She put her hand up to cover the bruises, and she looked away. The shame in her eyes was clear, the kind of shame that only abused women understand. "My name is Marcus," he said. "I come here every morning. If that guy ever bothers you again, you tell me, okay?" The woman nodded. She did not say her name. She just grabbed her coffee and left quickly. Marcus went back to his seat. He ordered his usual black coffee, but for the first time in many years, his mind was somewhere else. The next morning, he came back to the coffee shop. He was not sure why. He told himself it was just routine, just his normal day, but deep down, he knew the truth. He was looking for her. She was there, same time, same place. This time she had new bruises on her wrist, on her cheek. The beating had gotten worse. Marcus felt something rising in his chest. Anger, real anger, the kind of anger that had made him dangerous all his life. But this time it was different. This time, it was not anger at the world. This time it was anger at injustice. He walked over to her. "Sit with me," he said. It was not a question, it was a command. The woman looked around nervously, but she followed him to his table. She sat across from him, still shaking, still trying to be invisible. "What is your name?" Marcus asked. "Sarah," she whispered. "How long has he been hitting you?" "Sarah?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She did not answer. "How long?" Marcus asked again, harder this time. 3 years. Sarah said. Her voice broke. 3 years since I met him, and every day it gets worse." Marcus felt his fists clench under the table. 3 years. This woman had suffered for 3 years. "Why do you stay?" Marcus asked. Sarah looked at him like he was crazy. "You do not understand. I have a daughter. She is 6 years old. He says if I leave, if I ever try to leave, he will take her from me. He has money, he has lawyers. What do I have?" Nothing. Now Marcus understood. She was not staying because she wanted to. She was staying because she was trapped, a prisoner in her own life. "Where is your daughter right now?" Marcus asked. "At school." "Then after school?" My friend picks her up and watches her until I get home from work. What is your daughter's name? Emma, Sarah said, and for the first time, she smiled a small smile, but real. She is the light of my life. Marcus knew in that moment what he had to do. He did not know how, he did not know when, but he knew that he was going to help this woman. Even if it cost him everything, I'm going to ask you to trust me. Sarah, can you do that? Sarah looked at him, this strange, dangerous man, a man she did not know, a man with a reputation for violence and crime, and something in his eyes told her that he meant it. She nodded. Good. Marcus said, from now on you call me if you need me any time, day or night. Do you have a phone? Sarah took out an old phone from her purse. Marcus gave her his number. He had it memorized. Put my number in your phone, and Sarah, do not tell him about this about me, okay? Sarah nodded. Again over the next 2 weeks. Marcus did something he had never done before. He paid attention. He learned Sarah's routine. He learned when her abusive boyfriend went to work. He learned where Sarah worked. He learned where Emma went to school. He learned everything, and slowly, carefully, he began to plan. One evening, Marcus called Sarah. Tomorrow morning, pack a small bag for you and Emma, just essentials, clothes, money, documents, if you can get them. Can you do that? Why? Sarah asked, fear in her voice. Because we are going to get you out. Marcus said, but you have to trust me. Can you trust me? There was a long pause. Then Sarah said, yes. The next morning, Sarah was at the coffee shop at 5 in the morning. It was still dark outside. Emma was asleep in the passenger seat of her old car. Sarah was carrying a small backpack with everything they owned. Marcus was waiting with 2 of his most trusted gang members. They were in 2 separate cars. Emma stays with you. Marcus said, follow my friend in the blue car. He is going to take you to a safe place. It is a women's shelter. It is secure. Your boyfriend cannot find you there, not today. What are you going to do? Sarah asked. I am going to have a conversation with your boyfriend. Marcus said, do not worry, he is not going to bother you anymore. But what would happen when he found out the truth? What would he do when he discovered that Marcus had helped her escape? Later that morning, Sarah's boyfriend came home to an empty house. He saw the note she left on the kitchen table. I am sorry, I cannot do this anymore. I am taking Emma and leaving. Do not look for us, please, for Emma's sake. He read the note twice. Then he read it again, and then his anger exploded. He grabbed his phone and called Sarah. She did not answer. He drove to her work. She was not there. He drove to his parents' house. She was not there either. She had disappeared, and then his phone rang. It was Marcus. If you are looking for Sarah and Emma, do not waste your time, Marcus said. They are safe, and they are not coming back to you. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Who is this? The boyfriend demanded, this is Marcus from the Raven Riders, and I am telling you something. And you better listen very carefully if you ever try to find Sarah, if you ever try to contact her. If you ever try to take her daughter, I am going to make sure that every police officer in this state knows your name. I am going to make sure that every detective understands what you did to her, and I am going to use every connection. I have to make sure you rot in prison for the rest of your life. The boyfriend tried to interrupt, but Marcus kept going, and if the police does not work, then I'm going to handle it my way. And we both know what that means. The line went dead. 3 months passed. Sarah and Emma were living in a small apartment on the other side of town. Sarah had a new job. Emma was in a new school. They were safe, they were happy, but Sarah did not forget Marcus. She thought about him every single day. This man who had saved her life, this dangerous man who had shown her more kindness than anyone had ever shown her before. One day, she decided to do something crazy. She baked cookies, chocolate chip cookies. Emma helped her, and they went to the coffee shop. Marcus was there, sitting at the same table, reading a newspaper. Sarah sat down across from him for the first time without fear. Hi, she said. Marcus looked up, and when he saw her, his face changed. He smiled, a real smile, not the cold smile of a dangerous man, the smile of someone who cared. Sarah, he said, how are you? We are good, Sarah said. We are really good. Emma is doing great in her new school. I got a promotion at work. We are going to be okay. Marcus reached across the table and took her hand just for a moment. I am so glad. He said, I baked you something. Sarah said. She pulled out the container of cookies. Emma and I made them together. Marcus took a cookie. He bit into it slowly, and his eyes closed like he was tasting something more than just a cookie. He was tasting gratitude. He was tasting hope. Thank you, He said, "No," Sarah said. "Thank you. You saved my life. You saved Emma's life. How can I ever repay you?" Marcus looked at her and then at the cookies and then back at her face. "You just did," he said, but the story does not end there. A week later, Marcus received a phone call from the police. Sarah's ex-boyfriend had been arrested not by Marcus, not because of Marcus's threats, but because he had tried the same thing with another woman, and that woman had reported him. The police found evidence of his crimes, years and years of abuse with multiple women. He was going to prison for a very long time. Sarah called Marcus to tell him the news. "He cannot hurt me anymore," she said, and she was crying, but they were good tears, tears of relief, tears of freedom. "No," Marcus said, "he cannot hurt you anymore." But something interesting happened after that. Other women in the town started to notice. They noticed that the leader of the motorcycle gang was protecting people. They noticed that he was kind, that he cared, that he was not the monster everyone thought he was. Slowly, the story spread, and slowly, things changed. Marcus started to use his connections for good. He helped other women escape abusive situations. He worked with the police instead of against them. He used his reputation not as a weapon but as a shield. A shield for the vulnerable. The Raven Riders motorcycle gang changed too. They became known not as criminals but as protectors, as defenders of those who could not defend themselves. But none of this would have happened if Marcus had not paid attention. That one Tuesday morning, if he had not seen the bruises on Sarah's neck, if he had not stopped and cared 1 year later, there was a big event in Miller's Creek. It was the town festival, and Sarah was there with Emma. They were eating cotton candy and going on rides. Emma was laughing, really laughing, the kind of laugh that only a 6-year-old can make when they feel completely safe. Emma saw Marcus from across the festival. Her face lit up. She ran toward him and jumped into his arms. "Marcus!" she screamed. "Marcus is here." And Marcus caught her, and he held her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Sarah came over and stood next to them. She looked at this man, this dangerous man, this man with tattoos and a motorcycle, this man who could have ignored her completely. "Thank you," she said again, the words she had said so many times, but they never seemed to be enough. "Stop thanking me," Marcus said. He was smiling, looking at Emma and in his arms. "You have given me something I did not even know I was missing." "What is that?" Sarah asked. "Purpose." Marcus said, "Real purpose, not the kind that comes from being feared, but the kind that comes from making a difference, from helping someone, from knowing that I saved a life, that I changed a story." Emma fell asleep in his arms that night, and Marcus realized something. He realized that a test had been happening all along, not for Sarah, but for him. A test to see if he would care. Test to see if he would act. A test to see if a man who had lived a hard life could become a better man, and Marcus had passed that test. But here is the thing that nobody expected. 6 months after that, Marcus went to the coffee shop again, same time, same place, and he saw another young woman with bruises, with fear in her eyes, with that invisible shield that all abused women carry. And he got up, he walked over to her, and he said the same words he had said to Sarah. "Is there a problem?" Because Marcus understood something now. This was not just about Sarah, this was about everyone. This was about creating a chain of kindness that could reach far beyond one woman and one daughter. This was about a man learning that his strength could be used to protect, that his reputation could be used to help, that his life could mean something. But the real twist, the real emotional moment came 2 years later. Marcus was in the hospital, a gunshot wound. He had stopped the robbery, he had protected a family, and he had been shot. For Ide was lying in his bed, awake in pain, but alive. And the first visitor he had was not a gang member. It was not his family, it was Sarah, and behind her was Emma. Emma was 8 years old now. She was healthy, she was happy, she was smart. She was everything her mother had wanted her to be, and she had grown up knowing that there were good people in the world. People like Marcus. Sarah took his hand. "You almost died," she said, and the tears were streaming down her face now. "I know," Marcus said. "Why do you keep doing this?" Sarah asked. "Why do you keep putting yourself in danger to help others?" "You have already done so much." Marcus looked at Emma, then back at Sarah, and his eyes were full of something that had not been there before, not hardness, not anger, but love. "Because when I saved you," Marcus said, his voice weak but strong, "I learned something. I learned that my life had a purpose. And that purpose was bigger than me, you and Emma. You taught me what it means to be human again. You taught me that a man like me could change that. A man like me could matter. He squeezed Sarah's hand. So I will keep doing this. Marcus said, for as long as I can, because every life I save is like saving you all over again. It is like proving to myself that I deserve a second chance too. And in that hospital room, on a quiet evening, something shifted in the universe. A woman who had been trapped for 3 years was now free. A child who could have grown up in fear was growing up in safety, and a man who had been marked by violence and darkness was now marked by light and purpose, and all of it started with one small act of kindness, one moment of noticing, one decision to care. So here is the question I want to leave you with right now in this moment. There is someone near you who is suffering, someone with invisible bruises, someone who feels trapped, someone who feels alone, and you might not even know it. They might be at your coffee shop, they might be at your work, they might be in your family. They might be a stranger on the street, and one small act of kindness from you might be the test that changes everything, not just for them, but for you too, because when you help someone, you do not just save their life, you save your own life. You discover who you are really meant to be. So the question is not whether you will notice, the question is whether you will care enough to do something about it. This is the story of a man who was tested, a man who was given a choice and who chose to be human. Choose wisely, choose kindly, choose love, because one day that small act of kindness could change the entire world.